Thank you so much for joining me for the weekly tarot video forecast for Capricorn. This is for the week of August 12th through the 18th. So that means we are going to be starting the week on Monday and working our way through Sunday. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? Excuse me. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right, so we've got your cards down. Let's see what shows up. I am so sorry about all the noise. Let me see if I can take care of that from here. Okay, now we should be good. My apologies. All right, so Capricorn, let's just start with your Monday. What you have showing up is the Wanderer coming up in reverse. Now, when the Wanderer comes up in reverse, this tells me that there is something that you have begun, and you have begun it as a leap of faith, not really knowing exactly what you could expect from it, but knowing that it felt like just the right thing to do. You just knew that you knew that you knew that you needed to do this. Now, when the Wanderer shows up in reverse, what's going on is whatever that was that you began as basically a leap of faith because you knew that you needed to do this, you've come to a decision point where you had to decide, do I still want to continue forward with this? Do I want to keep this going? Is it worth the energy and the effort that I've been putting in to keep this going? With this coming up like this is telling me that you have decided that it is worth the energy and the effort and that you are willing to keep pushing forward with this. So this is where we see you on Monday, Capricorns. Tuesday, what we have showing up for you guys is the Otter on Tuesday. Now the Otter is telling me that you're very comfortable. I feel like going back and forth between two places. I think you've got two different locations, possibly more, but definitely at least two different locations that you're spending time in on Monday. And there may be a lot of going back and forth, but rather than spending the majority of your time at one location or the other, there are multiple locations that you're spending quite a bit of your day at. All right, now let's look at Wednesday, Capricorn. Eight of Stones. Eight of Stones is just telling me that you're working, and whatever you're working on, you are taking pride in your work, and you may even be doing something to customize it that makes it strictly, uniquely yours as well, Capricorn. But whether you're customizing it or not, definitely you're taking pride in your work. You're feeling satisfied with the work that you're doing whenever Wednesday shows up. Now, Thursday, what you have showing up, Capricorns, is the Blasted Oak. I don't remember what other sign got this card this week, but another one did. I think it got it on Friday, though. Either way, this is a card that looks really scary when you first take a peek at it, but it has a longer term story that actually is good. So let's break it down a little bit. When you've got the Blasted Oak showing up, Capricorn, what's happening is something that was making you feel safe and secure in your life that you kind of thought would be there indefinitely is suddenly and unexpectedly being pulled away from your life after all. Now, this can sort of take your breath away. You kind of have to get your legs under you after this happens. I won't lie. This can be sort of a shocking type of situation. However, it is just the beginning of the story. And the rest of the story is that whatever this was that you got kicked out of or that got yanked out of your life, whatever this was something that you felt very comfortable there, but you also weren't growing there. You were stagnating there. And when we don't grow, we go backwards. We start to shrink. So, well, basically, Spirit doesn't like to see us stagnate. So Spirit will make sure that we don't. And so if we're stagnating in a place and we're not looking for another place or another situation that's going to be better for us, Spirit will make sure that that situation goes away, and then we're forced to look for something to replace it. And when we're forced to look for something to replace it, what we find is the opportunities that are out there are better than what we already had. So it's important to remember when you first look at this card, yes, the initial hit of losing something like that can be really rough, but the long-term story of this card is that you end up doing better than what you were before the initial hit by the time everything's all said and done. Okay? Let me wet my whistle here, Capricorn. Excuse me. All right, so let's look at Friday. Okay, Friday you have the Ancestor. This is a really sweet card to me. It's also a very serious card. This is a card that says that on Friday you're going to be thinking about doing something that once you make a decision, whether you verbalize that decision or whether you start taking action towards that decision, once you start making any type of move towards that decision, you're going to hit a point of no return. And so this card really asks you to take stock and evaluate the cost. What is it going to cost for me to decide this way? What is it going to cost for me to go with the other way, to go with the status quo? And figure that out before you take that step over the line that puts you at that point of no return. Now, for instance, this was a card that came up that would have been appropriate to come up whenever I first started my psychic journey. I came from a background of people that believed all psychics were going to hell, excuse me. And so when I first started my psychic journey, I had to be very comfortable with the idea that I didn't believe that anymore. And so I also had to count the cost of what were my family, what were my friends going to think if I came out as having psychic abilities and being psychic. So I had to really count the cost before I made that decision. And the reason that you have to count the cost before you make a decision like this is because if you don't count the cost ahead of time and then you get past that point of no return and then it strikes you, oh my gosh, this is what it's going to cost me, and you're not prepared mentally or emotionally or spiritually for that cost, you're going to have a much harder time than if you already realize that this was going to be a little bit of a challenge. So I'm not saying that all of you or even that any of you are choosing to, go out into the world as being a psychic, but there is something that you're choosing, that there is a point of no return, and you want to make sure that that's really the direction you want to go. You want to make sure you've got your ducks in a row, that you know what the cost is going to be, or at least have a good idea for what the cost could potentially be before you strike out and make that first step or make that first announcement. Okay? Now, let's look at Saturday. Saturday, I think this has a lot more to do with social engagements than anything really heavy. Looks to me like you have a choice to make. You may have multiple offers or multiple places to be, and there's only one of you. You can only be at one of them. And so you're prioritizing and you're choosing. All your choices here are good choices. There is no bad choice. So making a choice, prioritizing, picking between several good options is what I'm hearing. So more than two for most of you. All right, last day of the week. Let's look at Sunday. Here what we have is the bear, and she's in reverse. So when we've got a bear in reverse, what this means for you, Capricorn, is that you have a decision to make, and this is a bigger type of decision. This is a decision that has to do with, am I going to keep things status quo, the way that I'm comfortable with them, the way that I know they work, even though it's not ideal, it is kind of my comfort zone? Or are you going to go out into the universe and create something totally, completely from scratch that you have no idea? You're going to be feeling your way through that whole thing, but the potential there is incredible. So you have to decide, are you keeping things status quo, or are you creating something new and wonderful kind of by the seat of your pants? That's what your decision is all about here. And when you come in reverse like this, with the bear in reverse, this is telling me that there's a lot of confusion for you still. You're not ready to make this decision yet because you're still confused about whether you actually want to or not. I would advise sit with this question, sit with this decision a while. Wait until you're in a place where you feel very comfortable with whichever way you want to go and very solid with it before you actually try to move forward. Don't add to your own confusion. Just let the confusion sort of settle out. Okay? All right, Capricorns, that's your week. If you enjoyed this video and this is the first time you've ever seen me, be sure and hit that subscribe button so you can see me again. Those of you who benefited from this video, please leave me a thumbs up. If you know somebody else who could benefit from this video, please share this video. These free videos are meant to get out to as many people as absolutely possible, and your help in making that happen is always appreciated. Those of you who have been watching me a while, you know that I do offer live private readings, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or 60 minutes. Those are done on the phone or on Skype, your choice. And then I also offer pre-recorded readings that are audio only, and those are just if you only have one question or two questions. Those are 1 or 2 question readings that are pre-recorded. So if you're interested in getting a reading with me, if there's something that came up in this forecast that you really want to sink your teeth into and understand better and in more detail, feel free to contact me. Or if you have something else in your life that you just need some clarity on so you can figure out what you want to do with that situation, feel free to contact me. I love to read. All my contact information is on my website, and my website is www.amista, AMISTA.info, INFO. And then if you forget it, you can always find the website in the description box below. That is not a typo. Those of you who look at that and think that that's a typo, it is not. My website is actually www.amista.info, not amista.com. Don't try to force that in there. It doesn't work. And I know a lot of you do that because you've told me after the fact. So anyway, go ahead, check that out. Make sure I'm the best reader for you, and then get a hold of me. I'm happy to answer questions if you want me to help you figure out which reading would be best for you, or if you just know that you want to book a reading. If you're in the U.S., the best thing to do is take that phone number and either call me or text me. If you're not in the U.S., the best thing to do is get a hold of me on Skype. Once again, call me or text me, either way. And I look forward to reading for a whole bunch of you. And for the rest of you, I'll see you guys back here on the next video next week. Peace out.